so I'm Stephen Hunt, and I am an Associate Teaching Professor at the Faculty of Education in the University of Cambridge, and my main responsibility for them is doing teacher training for classics teachers. And then a certain amount of the rest of my time is spent doing errands, as it were, for Classics for All, so doing teacher training and consulting things for CFA. And I write books, and I do a lot of travelling and seeing people teach in classrooms across the world. Yeah, a long time ago. So I remember it extremely clearly. I went to a new school at the age of 8, and my form teacher, Mrs. Wallace, made us all learn about the ancient Greeks because I think that was probably part of the curriculum. And I distinctly remember that we wrote down the Greek alphabet in very large writing and decorated the classroom with the letters. And there was a particular picture that I saw, which I copied out. I enlarged and copied out and coloured in with crayons or something, of the Tholos at Delphi. And somehow that sparked an imagination in me. Don't know what it was, but I became absolutely determined that one day I would go and see this darn thing. My parents always used to take us to sites. In Coventry, which is where I'm born, we managed to go to places like the Lunt Roman Fort, and we used to go to the library a lot and kind of do a lot of reading. And then in my secondary school, found Latin was compulsory and hated it, I'm afraid, for the first year. And then it kind of grew on me. Some people, I think, get grabbed by it late in life. Some people, it passes them by entirely. Some people, they kind of give and take. And one of the things I'm writing at the moment, funnily enough, I'm here in Bloomsbury, is trying to write a chapter on what I'm describing as kind of casual classics. What I decided to do was to try to set myself a kind of little limit between when I started writing the chapter and when I was going to finish writing the chapter, and try to include all the kind of classical things which sort of happen as a kind of little domain, a time domain, as it were. And found there were so many things. You couldn't stop writing because there was always something else coming up. But a lot of it is what I describe as kind of casual classics. It's just, as you say in here, you've got a little statue. We've got the muses over there. And it's nice to know a little bit about those, but most of it kind of goes, yeah, that's nice to see and that's great, and then you move on. I was reading something by somebody, I think it was Elizabeth Hale, who said, you could appreciate classics, but you don't have to go very far with it if you don't want to. It's nice to know, but it doesn't have to lead anywhere. But I think for other people, it is nice to know, and it does and has to lead somewhere. And for many adults, they can pick it up, they can do a lot of reading, they can go on social media, they can go and watch plays and films and shows and things like that. And they can perhaps even study it in their spare time. They can certainly do a lot of reading. At the moment, there's probably more to read about the ancient world in relatively lowbrow pop material to keep you occupied for years and years and years. The traditional route by which I entered was through school. When I was at school, of course, the only place, unless you had a library at home, and we didn't read, my parents had one book, bless them, was to go to the library. And the public library had a certain limit to what you could get, and you would devour all that sort of stuff. If you caught classics then, goodness me, you were drawn into it. I think it's easier now because classics, along with everything else, is just much more readily available. It is all around us. A good classics teacher is one who is fun, who can share humour with the class, but keep them under control. One of my trainees last year, she may be watching, who knows, she did a little bit of research project on the use of humour in the classroom. I think it was a really interesting, intriguing little thing. It's not just about the teacher's charisma and their humanity and the sense of humour that they bring to the class, but also the resources, whether they make it fun. Fun for different people can be very different things, but I think we generally agree that something is fun if it engages, it amuses, it motivates. And so when that kind of combination of resource and teacher come together, you can get a real spark